Following the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa, Venezuela sent humanitarian aid to the islands of Cuba and Jamaica. The Honduran Armed Forces confirmed that they will respect the will of the people at the ballot box on November 30. The World Health Organization reported that 421 people died from malnutrition in the Gaza Strip, including 113 children during the year 2025. Hello and welcome to From the South, from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. My name is Pablo Micheliche. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Venezuela sent humanitarian aid to the islands of Cuba and Jamaica after the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa. In a gesture of regional solidarity and commitment to South-South cooperation, the Bolivarian nation shipped 46 tons of food and essential supplies. The supplies that will be delivered to both Caribbean nations include more than 10,250 kilograms of food, 2,500 mattresses, and at least 9,500 medicine items, among other things, to meet the needs of those affected. In this context, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil recalled that this Thursday marks the 25th anniversary of the Comprehensive Cooperation Agreement between Caracas and Havana, signed by Presidents Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro. The president of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, on Thursday visited areas in the province of Holguín that were damaged by Hurricane Melissa. The head of state visited the city together with the main government authorities to promote the immediate recovery of the territory. The president recognized the efforts made by the civil defense to protect the population, which prevented the loss of human life. He also warned that the secondary effects of the climatological phenomenon, such as residual winds, river overflows, and possible outbreaks of disease, persist, and therefore ordered that the provinces remain on high alert.
The visit to the provinces affected by the cyclone, specifically Holguín, and what we have seen is that work has been done. Good work has been done in each of the phases, but you have already been moving forward with elements of organization for the recovery phases. You are already in the recovery phase. At 12 noon, the province moved into the recovery phase, and you have already made progress, as we have seen. First, assess the damage, the situation in places that are more complicated than in the provincial capital, such as Quito, which you have described. But here we can already see that there is work and atmosphere. There is an atmosphere of organization. We can see that the residents themselves in the blocks have been clearing up part of the damage. And that is one of the first tasks, the cleanup, which is what removes the ugly traces of the hurricane's passage.
We change topic. The Honduran Armed Forces confirmed that they will respect the will of the people at the ballot box on November 30. The statement comes in response to the announcement of a commission to investigate allegations about the alleged involvement of an official in plans to boycott the presidential elections. Honduras Attorney General Joel Zelaya confirmed the existence of evidence of a plan to alter the elections results reported by the CNE magistrate. Also, the Chief of Staff, Roosevelt Hernandez, ordered an investigation into the possible involvement of members of the institution who allegedly had links to representatives or leaders of certain political institutions with the aim of destabilizing the democratic order of the country. The president of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, condemned a conspiracy aimed at provoking an electoral coup in the Central American nation. Through a post on social media, the Honduran president expressed, "I absolutely condemn this criminal conspiracy aimed at provoking an electoral coup, as the Attorney General of the Republic has expressed. I have instructed the armed forces to immediately investigate the participation of any active military personnel and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to denounce these facts to the international community, because this is a direct threat to Honduran democracy. The same groups that violated the constitution in the 2009 coup and consummated the electoral frauds of 2013 and 2017 are now attempting to supplant the will of the people, generate chaos, and hijack the popular sovereignty once again. We will defend democracy and the will of the people with all the force of the law, guaranteeing free and transparent elections, social peace, and the unconditional respect for the rule of law and the constitutional order. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro affirmed that Venezuelan youth are a scientific powerhouse driving innovation despite the narrative of the Western media. During the meeting, the Venezuelan head of state emphasized that Venezuela's greatest strategic potential in terms of development is scientific seabed, made of a brilliant generation of children and young people, asserting that this emerging talent represents the true weapon for building the country's future. In this context, he affirmed that there is no such thing as Generation Z in Venezuela, as this classification responds to a narrative imposed by Western international media with the purpose of categorizing and conditioning the expectation of youth through the dominance of social media. He also urged young people to remain aware and not allow themselves to be manipulated, reaffirming that they represent a generation committed to knowledge, progress, and national sovereignty.
Venezuela has the atomic bomb. You didn't know that it had the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb of Venezuela is the seeds of scientific group. These children of 14 and 15 and 16 years, they are the atomic bomb. They're the real atomic bomb of Venezuela. It is the weapon for the development of the future. 500,000 children in youth, men from 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 16, 18 years. Here in Venezuela, there's no Z generation. That is the creation of international media of the West that then want to, with the weight that they have, because they dominate social media, they dominate TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, they dominate X. Venezuela.
In Clarines and Suátegui State, we invite you to learn how cheese is produced by true masters who have dedicated their life to working, learning, and teaching the craft. Watch this new episode of Venezuela on the Move with our correspondent Álvaro Fragua.
In this restaurant and artisanal cheese production center, each morning begins with a ritual. The trucks arrive loaded with milk from local producers in an economy that is both local and sustainable, which guarantees the highest quality and freshness of the curd.
They are from producers. We work with small-scale producers. Some farms produce 200 liters, others 500 liters. There are some larger farms, but we generally work with small farms in the area.
With fresh milk, the art of cheese begins. Here there are no machines, only experience, way, and patience. José Enrique, a master of cheesemakers with more than 50 years of experience, has perfected a technique that never fails.
One has a general idea of what texture is best, not too hard or soft. One has a little more experience by now. Then you add the rennet, mix it well, as you saw, and then add this way, which is from the day before, to make the curd stretch. When you cook it, you'll see that it stretches.
But there is also knowledge behind the cheese. It's a job that is not easy to master, and that requires patience, observation, and love for the craft.
I watched the cheesemakers closely. They were from Garib. I watched how they made the cheese, then I was always on the lookout. Until one day they left me alone and I made it. When they arrived and tasted the curdled milk, they said, "Wow, the curdled milk is good."
Over the years, this restaurant and artisanal cheese production center has become a regional reference point. Here not only is Clarinets cheese produced, but also mozzarella, handmade cheese, and a variety of seasoned cheese that will delight your palate with the aim of growing the business.
Look, you can find our products here. We have 4 types of dressing. You have the ham with mozzarella, the one with parsley and garlic, the one with paprika and rosemary, and the one with basil, which is spectacular. Clarinet's cheese is the one that everyone loves. You can taste the hint of milk in it. It's so smooth and delicious.
Clients come from all over the country to try the authentic flavor of Clarinets. Whoever tries it comes back for more.
Well, because I like them. I mean, I can try the cheese I'm going to buy. Right? That's important because, as I just told the lady, the other one was too salty.
Grated cheese, the best in the area. El arepero and el guayamano. They are honestly incredible.
With every movement, Jose Enrique's team demonstrate that the secret of the Clarinet's cheese lies in the dedication and love with which it is made, a craft passed down as a legacy and a source of pride from the eastern region of Venezuela.
You have to do things properly for them to turn out well. If you do things too quickly, they won't turn out well. You have to do things calmly, and then you will see that they turn out well. Yes, and I do it with love, too. I do it with love. I love my job. Yes, then.
After learning about the artisanal production process of one of the world's best cheeses and understanding the local economic dynamics of a country that thrives despite the aggression of the empire, we say goodbye from here, from Clarinets. But not before reminding you to write to us on the social network that appear on the screen so that the next story we tell is yours.
Yo soy Álvaro Fragua y esto fue Venezuela en Movimiento. Hasta la próxima.
And we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. A Brazilian federal court ruled Thursday to maintain military police presence at the Ipuita farm of the Guararoca indigenous territory in Carapo. The federal institution said that these precautionary measures was reactivated because on September 21st, part of the Warari and Kiowa people had the objective of recovering the farm. The indigenous people emphasized that the court's decision is illegal since before the ruling, the police were acting illegally in the area. They also denounced that during the recovery of the land, the police shot indigenous people to death. And less than a month before the start of the COP30 in Belém, Brazil, environmentalists, the global North-funded NGOs reject Petrobras' license to drill offshore. More information with our correspondent, Brian Mayer.
Less than a month before the start of COP30 in Belém, the Brazilian government has drawn the ire of environmentalists and NGOs with the announcement of a new license for Petrobras, the state-controlled petroleum company, to perform offshore drilling tests near the border with French Guiana, 540 kilometers from the mouth of the Amazon River.
The decision made by the workers in our ministry was technical. Any political pressure that may have existed had no influence on the process or the quality of the work done by our scientists and engineers. It is clear that we operate within a political context, and it is legitimate for people to have their own goals. However, in a Republican government like that of President Lula, decisions are made on a technical basis.
Brazil's largest culprit in greenhouse gas emissions is Amazon deforestation, which fell by 88% last year. 90% of its electrical grid is powered by renewables. All new auto factories installed since Lula took office are for electric vehicles, And unlike private petroleum companies, 50% of Petrobras royalties are earmarked for public education and health. Consequently, many see hypocrisy in criticism from the more polluting global north.
It is unacceptable that the global north would try to make rules for the global south. Is the global north, which destroyed all of its forests, that emits the most greenhouse gases, going to make demands on Brazil, which has been performing its role in energy transformation, saying that Brazil cannot exploit any more petroleum reserves? We will never agree to this.
Regardless of whether Brazil decides to eventually authorize commercial drilling near the border with the Guianas, the government is investing 2 trillion reais in transition to renewable energy. Brian Muir, teleSUR, Recife.
Mexico demands respect for its national sovereignty after a new attack by the United States against a suspected drug trafficking boat off the Mexican coast. The President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, affirmed that they are seeking to resume direct coordination in maritime operations so that the Navy can detain the drug trafficking boats. The President reiterated her stance on the defense of national sovereignty and called on the United States to restore the cooperation scheme against drug trafficking in the Pacific. Sheinbaum indicated that the Mexican Secretary of the Navy and a counterpart from the U.S. Coast Guard met to review strategies and arrange meetings with the South Command and the U.S. State Department.
Today,
the Secretary of the Navy is meeting with a counterpart from the U.S. Coast Guard. And a meeting is also being arranged with the Southern Command, which is responsible for these activities, and also with the Department of State. Our objective is to continue with the scheme have been working with, which has to do with information provided to the Secretary of the Navy.
The World Health Organization reported that 421 people died from malnutrition in the Gaza Strip, including 113 children, during the year 2025. The international organization reported that the shortage of food and drinking water is due to Israel's blockade of humanitarian aid at the Rafah border crossing. The most vulnerable people affected by the lack of food are children, the elderly, and the sick who have been left without medical care. In addition, entire families have no access to clean water, and mothers are unable to feed their children. Police forces in Tanzania repressed demonstrators in the nation's capital on Thursday following the October 29 general elections. Protesters took to the streets for the second day after 2 of the main opposition candidates were barred from participating in the presidential elections held Wednesday. According to Amnesty International, the protest triggered repressive action by the police, who fired and shot tear gas at the demonstrators, leaving at least 2 dead. The government shut down internet access, imposed a curfew, and deployed the army after the unrest began. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And you can also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, my name is Pablo Micheliche. Thank you for watching.